Hello learners, welcome to another session on Introduction to Statistics Part 2. So, in the last session we discussed about various things related with the statistics. In this session we are going to cover very important things related with the statistics like scale of measurement. Then we will talk about descriptive and inferential statistics. Under the descriptive and inferential statistics we also discuss estimation and hypothesis testing. So, before going to the today's discussion, let me briefly discuss about what are the role of statistics in the different settings. As we discussed in the previous sessions, that statistics has a different application in the different contexts. In one of the context is behavioral researches. So, in this context, the statistics has a very significant role. So, we are taking up the role of statistics in research, and therefore, how we can use the statistics in research in order to carry out research. We are going to discuss today's different things, different types of statistics and the scale of measurement. So, why scale of measurement are required to understand here? As you know that we discuss about the variables, and variables should be measured first in order to analyze, in order to understand, in order to compare between the two groups. First, we need to understand how do we measure the things. When we measure the variables, then the measurement can have a different types, then the measurement can have a different characteristics. So, here we are going to discuss about different scale of measurement. So, measurement is a process that involves assigning number to observation in a meaningful manner. So, we provide number to the to assign a certain things to a particular number in a meaningful manner, so that this number can be further used for the analysis purposes. So, in 1946, 4 scales of measurement were explained by S.S. Stevens, and that can be used to the measure of variables. So, in these 4 kind of measurement of scale of measurement are, first is called nominal scale, then we have ordinal scale, then we have interval scale, then we have ratio scale. Let us talk about one by one in detail. So, when we talk about nominal scale, it can be used to measure the variable that are qualitative as well as exclusive in nature. Means the things which are exclusive in nature can be measured in terms of nominal scale. As name suggests, that the nominal scale means we give a name to the scale, and we give name to the any observation, or we give a number to the also observation, but the observation which are exclusive in nature. For example, gender. In the gender we can have either male or female, although the male can be allocated 1 score and female can be allocated further 2 score, but the male and female are the nominal scale because it is exclusive in nature and it is categorical in nature. Further, we can have example like religion. We can have a different religions, and every religion are exclusive in nature. We are allocating certain practices a certain name. So, nominal scale is nothing but it's a measure of variable that are qualitative and exclusive in nature. Then another scale that are also very important to understand here, which is called ordinal scale. As you know that in ordinal scale, the word order is somehow indicates the nature of a scale about ordinal scale. So, ordinal scales involves the rank, that is the data can be assigned a rank based on the whether they are less or more, low or high, bad or good, and so on. So, ordinal scale are the scale that we use. We can see in our rank when we got rank like first position, second position, third position. All these positions are the rank. Here we can't use a true mathematical calculation because the rank number 2 cannot be subtracted with the rank number 3, or we can say 3 rank minus 2 rank cannot get the first rank score. Although these are the high and low rank, means 1 is the highest score achiever, whereas the second rank is the just below the highest score achiever in the second position, or good or bad, and what terms we can be make ordinal of the things in order. Then we have another very important scale which is called interval scale. Interval scale is most commonly used measure of especially for the psychological variables. So the scale that we use commonly in psychological variable is called interval scale, and in order to measure the psychological variable we use interval scale very frequently. These scales are similar to the ordinal scale as we discussed just before, but the categories can also be ranked and are exclusive as well, but the degree of differences between these two participant or observation is same, means the difference between 1 and 2 would be similar as the 2 and 3. So this is called interval scale, where the interval between the two observation, the two scores are similar in all the context. So for the interval scale we can say it's just like ordinal scale, but there is another feature which has been included with the interval scale, which is called degree of differences between the two participants or between the two observation is same. So in interval scale there is no absolute zero, means the interval scale cannot have a absolute zero. Therefore we say the psychological variable, measurement of the psychological variable always comes under the interval scale. The reason is we can't say there is a zero attitude, we can't say there is a zero emotional intelligence. So there is no absolute zero in psychological variable. So therefore maximum observation, maximum psychological variable measures with the help of interval scale. So there cannot be a person with a zero attitude, as I told you. So the interval scale has the features like it can be exclusive in nature, but the differences would be same. The another scales that also very popular, which is called ratio scale. The ratio scale contains absolute zero and rest of the features that we have discussed earlier, means the feature of nominal scale, feature of ordinal scale, feature of interval scale are comprises in the ratio scale, including the ratio scale can have absolute zero. So the ratio scale has all the properties of all a scale, that is nominal, ordinal and interval. Beside that it has also absolute zero that indicates the presence of or absence of certain properties and characteristics. It can have certain characteristics may be absence, certain characteristics may be present. So for example 10 kg of sugar or indicates that there is a quantity of the sugar, but it can be zero as well. The absence of sugar, the absence of something can also be there. So it can be comes under the ratio scale. So I would like to draw your attention in this table number 1.5 in the slide. Here you can see that all the four scales are tabulated and in the different columns, and in the very first column we have a property of a scale. Let's start with one by one and understand how these properties are different in the different scales of measurement. The first is categories are exclusive in nature. As I told you, it comes with the nominal, so it would be appear in all the scales. So categories which are exclusive in nature can be in the nominal scale, can it be appear in the ordinal, interval and ratio as well. Then we have a categories can be arranged into the order. So nominal scale cannot be arranged into order, it's exclusive in nature only. There is no order like male and female, who is the superior, who is the inferior, cannot be ordered. So nominal scale cannot have a categories, cannot have an ordinal categories, but in ordinal scale it is there, also in interval scale, also in ratio scale. So another features or properties you can say which can be understand the equidistance between the adjacent categories, means if there are two categories which has a equal distance, it cannot be possible in nominal scale as well as in ordinal scale, as I just before mentioned, like rank number 1 cannot be subtract rank number 2 or to get, or we can say we can't add rank number 1 and 2 to get rank number 3 position. So mathematical calculation alphabetical in the ordinal scale cannot be possible. So equidistance between the adjacent categories is not possible. So in ordinal scale we use different kind of mathematical technique in order to change into the frequency. So as far as the interval and ratio scale, we can find equidistance between the adjacent category. What about the absolute zero? Absolute zero is none of the scales except ratio scale. So we can find only the absolute 0 in ratio scale, whereas it is not present in nominal, ordinal and interval scale. For example, let's understand with the example all the scales of measurement. Like when we allocate the number, roll number to the students, or when we assign the roll number to the students, it comes under the nominal scale. So we are not giving them name, we are giving them number. So number, but all the numbers are exclusive in nature. So all number are different from each other. Roll number 101, 102 has exclusive in nature, but it cannot be in order. Then another is the rank, the marks. On the basis of marks, when we give the rank to the students, it comes under the ordinal scale. Another example for the interval scale can be the score obtained by the individual on the particular observation, like when we observe the attitude of the students and we allocate certain number. It can be interval in nature because it has a scale in which we can see the equidistance, but there is no absolute 0 because attitude cannot be 0. So therefore this can be one of the example for interval scale. Whereas for the ratio scale, we can say like error committed by the students, error committed by the participant in the study, or maybe in any examination, or how many errors has been committed by the student. It can be 0 as well. None of the error has been committed by the students can also be there, and it can be observed in the ratio, because ratio scale only consists absolute 0. So for understanding of another concept which we are going to discuss about the different types of statistics, which is called descriptive and inferential statistics, let me take one example through which we will be able to understand the concept of descriptive and inferential statistics. So let us try to understand the descriptive statistics with the help of an example. A teacher administered a test on English writing and which is a kind of a skill of 100 marks. So for 100 marks, the teacher has administered English writing skills, and the teacher observed that the scores, and he or she has tabulated the scores, and it comes like the average score of the class is 65. So the teacher also came to know that the 10% of the students needed to help with regards to the English writing skills. One of the students has performed very well in the test and obtained a score that was better than the 85% of the students which are present in the class. For this example, it can be seen that the sum of the statistical technique, that is the teacher is used, where mean, average, percentage, percentile, these and many other technique can be categorized under the term of descriptive statistics. As the term descriptive statistics, you can understand, here we are going to describe the group of data. The data does not say anything. We imposed meaning on it. The number does not have any meaning. We impose certain meaning on it. And how we can do it? With the help of statistics, we make an inference as well as we describe the numbers, and this, in order to describe the numbers, we have descriptive statistics. In order to make inference out of the numbers, we use inferential statistics. Let's discuss about one by one. First, start with the descriptive statistics. So descriptive statistics is mainly comprise description and organization of the data. It can be termed as the technique that helped in the summarizing of prominent characteristics of the distribution. So what the characteristics is possessing by the sample can be explained with the help of descriptive statistics. So based on the properties of sample, the descriptive statistics can be categorized in the following manners. One is called statistics of location, then statistics of dispersion, then statistics of correlation. So all these three things comes under the descriptive statistics. With the help of these three things, we describe the data with the help of statistics of location, with the help of statistics of dispersion, and with the help of statistics of correlation. Let me discuss one by one very briefly here to understand, to orient you what actually descriptive statistics is all about. So descriptive statistics is the descriptions of the data, and how do we do it? Of course, with the help of three things, which is statistics of location, dispersions and correlation. Let's start with the first. What is statistics of location? It covers the techniques like measure of central tendency, including the mean, median, mode, frequency distribution, percentile and so on, that comes under the statistics of location. Whereas for the statistics of dispersion, that word dispersion itself enough to understand what actually it deals with. It covers the technique related with the measures of dispersion, including quartile deviation, it can be a standard deviation, range, average deviation and variance. All these calculation we do in the further section in upcoming session, and how you will be able to know how they are important for understanding to description of the data. So in order to describe the data, we use first the statistics of location, in which we go for the mode of frequency distribution and all. Then we go for the statistics of dispersion, and another is called statistics of correlation. In order to see the association between the two variables, we use statistics of correlation, how the two variables are associated with each other. And when we say one variable is associated with each other, is not sufficient enough to understand the relation between the two variables. We should quantify it. If we say that association is there, when it is not enough for us to understand how much association is there. So when we quantify it, that the association is strong, but how much it is strong, when we allocate the number, then we use the statistics. So statistics of correlation help us to make association, to quantify the association between the two variables. We have a different techniques like product moment method, we have a Spearman rank order method, then Kendall's rank correlations we have. The correlation is mainly help us to understand the relationship between the two variables, or more than that, not only the two, more than that as well. Another type of statistics that we are going to discuss, it is called inferential statistics. So in inferential statistics, we try to use the statistics in order to make inferences. So inferences are drawn about the population based on the representative sample. So we study on the sample, and we try to make inference about the population from where the sample has been drawn. So the inferential statistics is make an inference about the sample population, about the population based on the representative sample. So inferential statistics refers to the mathematical method based on the probability theory, and help in reasoning and inferring the characteristics, features and the sample drawn from the larger populations. So inferential statistics can also be effectively used to make the estimate and prediction. So there are two things that you need to know here in order to understand the inferential statistics. One is called estimation and the prediction. How do we do it, estimation and prediction? It's a matter of discussion. We will discuss about it in the further session. But here you have to understand, through inferential statistics, we try to make inference about the population on the basis of sample. So there are two types of procedures that we use in inferential statistics. As similar as I discussed in the descriptive statistics, we use three types, which is called a statistics of location, a statistics of dispersion and a statistics of correlation. Here in inferential statistics we use two procedures, which is called estimation and hypothesis testing. So let me discuss about estimation and hypothesis testing one by one. So what estimation is all about? So estimation, basically it's a probability of a phenomena is referred to as estimation. So how probability of happening of something that is can be estimated, and it comes under the estimation. So under the estimation we basically make a two kind of estimation. One is called point estimation and another one is called interval estimation. Point estimation is actually this is a type of estimation in which the value is a single point, It's a value is a single point where we give we estimate and give a single number of estimation. Whereas in interval estimation, what we do, we give an interval to estimate or we give an interval or two number within which we population parameter could be lie. So we don't give a single number in the interval estimation, whereas we give a single number in the point estimation. So for example, in the interval estimation, we can say like mu or sum score of the population can have a mean of mu that the interval can estimate between A and B. So the population mean can be lie in between A and B, and A and B is the range in between the population mean will lie is called interval estimation. How do we do it? Of course, with the help of statistics, and these statistics comes under the inferential statistics. Then another concept which is very important to understand here, which comes under the statistics, as I told you at the beginning, we discuss about descriptive and inferential statistics. In the inferential statistics, we have another two things. One is called estimation, and the second one is called hypothesis testing. So let's talk about the hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing is referred to as a process involving statistical decisions making with regard to the population value that is based on the sample value. So this is a kind of process that involving a statistical decisions. We take a statistical decision making with regard to the population value that is based on the sample value. So there are two type of hypotheses that you might be aware about it. In these things we generally discuss in the methods in research methods in psychology, but here I am just briefly introducing about the types of hypothesis, although it has a variety of types, but the two types of hypothesis we commonly use in researches. One is called null hypothesis and another one is called alternative hypothesis. So hypothesis is nothing but it's a tentative statement about the problems or a tentative solution of the problems. Whatever the problems that has been taken into consideration in the researches, the tentative answer the hypothesis try to give on the basis of literature review, whatever the researches is available over there. So null hypothesis stands for the hypothesis that referred to as a hypothesis of no differences. A null means no. So as null hypothesis implies that there is no differences between the two group, two people, two maybe more than two events. So this can be comes under the null hypothesis. Whereas it's contrary to that, we say alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis can be termed as a counter proposition to the null hypothesis, which is we say there is a differences. These differences can be directional like non-directional or directional further. So here alternative hypothesis is contrary to the null hypothesis, where the null hypothesis say that there is no differences, whereas alternative hypothesis claim that there is a differences. So these kind of things usually researchers forms. A researcher made different hypotheses on the basis of the previous literature review, on the basis of previous findings, and whatever the researchers has been carried out, on the basis of that the researcher usually make a hypothesis null or alternative. So whenever the inferential statistics we talk about, there are chances that the two kind of error the researcher may commit in process of hypothesis testing, and these two type of error, which is called type 1 and type 2 error, which we need to understand at this point because we just discussed about the hypothesis testing. So in hypothesis testing there are, as I mentioned, that there are two type of error that the researcher commit. One is called type 1 error and another one is called type 2 error. So how do we understand these kind of things? You can see the slide and understand what actually type 1 and type 2 error is all about. So there is a chances where the null hypothesis is true and there is a chances where the null hypothesis is false in reality. So when the null hypothesis is true and when we reject the null hypothesis, it's called type 1 error. Let me repeat once again. When the null hypothesis is true and the researcher reject the null hypothesis, they commit type 1 error. It contrary to that, when the null hypothesis is false and the researcher is actually accepting the null hypothesis, or we can say they fail to reject the null hypothesis, is called type 2 error. So with this table you can understand is there are 2 times where the decision can be correct, but there are 2 times where the decision can be comes with the error. The type 1 and type 2 error can be seen in the bracket number 1 and bracket number 4, whereas the bracket number 2 and 3 are the decision where the inferences has been drawn very correctly, or in the 2 sections we have committed certain kind of error. So let me once again repeat very briefly about type 1 and type 2 error. Type 1 error, when the null hypothesis is true but the researcher reject the null hypothesis, they commit the type 1 error. When the null hypothesis is false but the researcher is failed to reject the null hypothesis, they commit null type 2 error. So in this regard, we discuss various things. Let me summarize this session with these things, like we discuss in these sessions the scale of measurement, in which we take 4 scale of measurement. One is called nominal scale, then we have ordinal scale, then we have interval, then we have ratio scale. We have seen in a table what are the properties that through which we can differentiate nominal, ordinal, interval scale. There are different properties we discussed, and these properties can be understood in order to explain the term nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio scale. We also discuss about what descriptive statistics is all about and inferential statistics. In the descriptive statistics, we discuss about 3 important things. One is called statistics of location, statistics of dispersion and statistics of correlation. In order to explain inferential statistics, we discuss 2 important things. One is called estimation and then another one is called hypothesis testing. In estimation, we discuss about 2 important features. One is called point estimations and another one is called interval estimations. Whereas in hypothesis testing, we also talked about the type of hypothesis and the error that the researcher committed during their research analysis, which is called type 1 and type 2 error.